How did I get into this work? So, a lot of you might know that I worked in mental health for many, many years, 38 plus actually. And I feel so grateful that I've had this work experience. I was able to have so many great experiences. I learned so much about myself and others, and I worked with amazing people, and just I've had so many different roles within the agency, and I am just thoroughly grateful. So during that time, though, there was a time when I started to think, what more can I do? I really wanted to do something that was just special to me. I wanted to have something that I could possibly even take on the road and have my own little business. That's what I wanted. And so I was thinking and thinking and exploring and trying to figure out what could I do. And then I ended up working with a woman who was very, very stressed because she had an inspection coming up in her apartment. And she was really, really nervous about it. And she told me it was because she had a lot of stuff in her apartment. And so I started to look into her rights and her responsibilities. And I worked with her one-on-one and helped her to get through this situation. And I supported her throughout. And eventually she allowed me to come into her apartment, which I know is a really big thing for people who have a lot of stuff. There's a huge trust issue with that. But she trusted me and she allowed me to come into her place. And when I was there, I started to think, oh my, like this is something I could do. And this is how I could help people, or something I could do on my own time. So I started to look into everything I could about this topic, and in general the topic of like chronic disorganization and hoarding. And I read everything I could. I joined a couple of associations, Professional Organizers of Canada and the Institute for Chronic Disorganization, actually Institute for Challenging Disorganization it's called. And I did courses and learned as much as I possibly could. And I started up my business called Space for You. But anyway, back to my workplace. I started up a group at the time. It was called the Clearing Clutter Support Group, and that group still runs today, which is really awesome. I also became the go-to person to work with people who were in crisis due to the amount of stuff in their apartment. So it could be to do with their landlord. It could be the fire department may have been there and gave them an order. It could be that they needed to move. And so I would help hook people up with any resources that were available, which are often slim in this area. But I would work with people to the best of my ability, making calls for them, advocating for them, maybe even helping them a little bit in their apartment. So this became my passion. And I started up my business called Space for You. And I have retired from my mental health work. That was back in December 2017. And I've been doing this work ever since. And I work with people, helping them to clear physical clutter, but also emotional clutter, which is a big part of what I do. And I work with people virtually, and I help people to make space for what is most important to them. I help them to think about how they can clear any clutter to do with their life, their mind, and their space. So happy decluttering.